All right, everybody. I am here with Lynn and Janet Behm, and they are, I was telling them before we hit record, they are some of our favorite clients. I mean, there's something that is really unique. If you're a business owner, you know this. When people treat your staff well, they shoot to the top of the list of the people that you want to connect with and people that you want to find more of them. And so I'm here to unpack their story for all of us of how they started their business. And Janet is an EA. They're both in Sandy, Utah, outside of Salt Lake, and they've got a thriving practice. They deal with a lot of real estate investors and have really targeted a particular niche in this way. And so I wanted to unpack that for all of us here in the tax professional world, what they have done to create that and how TaxPro Marketer has come alongside them, of course, but really more about them and their stories. So first of all, here we are, it's in fall of 2021. What are you working on right now? What does it look like at this moment? It's before the extension deadline, so I'm sure you're scrambling to deal with a lot of procrastinators like me. I shipped off my stuff yesterday to my
you're 2 weeks ahead of us.
What are you working on right now aside from dealing with procrastinating losers like me? Aside from that, what are you guys working on?
Well, we've, as you know, we niched into real estate investors, and they are a very creative group, and they have a lot of ways of doing things. And because part of the way that we deal with people, we like to personalize and customize to how the client does business. And initially it was mostly tax, accounting, advisory services, but now we're currently really developing the bookkeeping side because it is such a strong need and people can't find bookkeepers. So many of them are full at this point. But the other side of it is they can't find the bookkeepers and accountants to put things together in a way that gives the client what they need, as well as being able to take care of the compliance issues, because they're dealing with their banks, their hard money lenders. There's so many other reasons why they need their financials. And then, of course, we need to be compliant and ready to audit if that ever came up. So that's what we're developing right now. We're developing a team. We are working with some outsourcing, but they're people that we hire. We have had, as everybody knows, everyone is struggling finding people to work. And so we did find an excellent company in the Philippines that it's like being in the same office. We team viewer together, we sit and share screens, we work on things.
That's fantastic.
And yeah, they're like Robert Half. They go out, they recruit, and they handle the HR for us there. So it makes a very nice, and it makes it, quite frankly, affordable for our clients so that we're not having to do these huge cost increases. But we tried the team thing, working with other outsourcing where you just turn things over. That doesn't work. We like to have the employees, so they literally work for us.
Right. Yeah.
And so that has been solving that problem, because that's been part of our bottleneck. But
maybe if you could shoot that to me offline, and we can recommend that if it's a company that you genuinely work with that has capacity.
We are really high level service, and they take good care of us.
What's the name of that company, if you don't mind sharing?
It's Empada. It's the initials of the children of the owner.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put it in the notes. That's fantastic. I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there. We actually have some employees that are based in the Philippines as well here at TaxPro Marketer, and we treat them just the same way like you do. We include them in all of our meetings. They work US hours, and I mean, that's just a few of our very technical roles, because there's 16 of us here. And it's not nearly the majority, but it's an incredible culture. And I think there's a beautiful opportunity because of COVID. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the Philippines who are skilled, who are looking for work with, US-based firms. So I think that's a fantastic little tip, even at this beginning stage of our conversation, that other EAs, because you are an EA, not a CPA, I'm aware, but EAs and CPAs and tax professionals could find skilled employees to work, who are just as much as part of the team, but maybe are a little less expensive than US-based employees. That's fantastic. So you're working on that, developing KPIs for your clients, different kinds of systems for bookkeeping. About how many clients do y'all work with?
We work with about 170 clients at this point, and we have, until we got this foundation in place, we've kind of held back on moving forward, because until, we need to be reliable, we need to be able to produce. And if that piece wasn't there and we just kept taking clients, thankfully to TaxPro Marketer, keeping us out there and providing such support for the clients we have, we get great referrals. And, so we've had to kind of hold the reins a little bit, but now we're in a position where it can be expanded. And
that's fantastic. Have you talked to our team yet about advertising?
I think Lynn has a little bit.
We've talked about having another web page for specifically for the department that is going to be doing targeting the bookkeeping people at real estate investors.
Let's do that. So that has been talked about.
Oh yeah,
we're building that for you
guys.
Great.
Not yet. We're still in the pulling the trigger stage.
All right, well, let's pull that trigger, because I'm excited to see you guys continue to grow. So you have most of your clients on like a monthly retainer plan, it sounds like.
We have, yes, everyone that we are doing the accounting bookkeeping for, we've worked with quarterly. We've been experimenting around, but we've come to the conclusion the monthly retainer, where we're keeping, especially on the do-it-yourself, the DIY, we really need to stay on top of them. And a lot of times they just convert into having us do the accounting because they're just too busy, and that's not what they're in business for.
That's right.
So
that's not their area of expertise.
I kind of, I call it kind of a subscription service, because it makes it easier on them, and it excuse me, it evens out their cash flow, evens out our cash flow, evens out their cash flow, makes everybody happy. So
a great model. And then once you have that kind of base moving forward, you have confidence and strength to grow, and you have like an idea of what a client is worth to you, and you've got these basic tiers of service that they can slot into, and it makes everything simpler. That's fantastic.
Well, and then thanks to you, when you were interviewing Dominique Molina, I've actually added the tax strategy. We're starting to move. That's an area that I'm proactively involved in, that we're going to start offering as well. And I discovered her on one of your interviews. So
she's fantastic. She's my friend. We're actually speaking at her event next month. So I want to feel better. Yeah.
We'll see you there.
I will be live. This is our first trip out of Salt Lake.
Fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, so I've got a little bit of a flavor of what you do and what you're about related to, working with real estate investors almost exclusively. And we've known that from the beginning since we worked with you. We've worked with you for about 3 or 4 years now.
I think it's been longer than that.
I think it's been about 4.
Yeah, I think that's about right. So tell us about kind of like your secret sauce in terms of how you communicate to your clients. What what are you communicating to them that makes them want to work with you versus other options?
Well, one of the things we do is we hang out where they hang out. In other words, we support the Utah and Salt Lake Real Estate Investor Associations here in Utah.
Well attended.
And they are well attended, but these people want to see us there regularly, that we're not just the flash in the pan, come do a presentation and then disappear. And it was actually one of the attorneys that had told us early on that because we asked, aren't you worried about all these other attorneys that just show up? He goes, oh, they just show up. What you have to do is show up every event and be part of that. And we've discovered that what that does is people then start approaching you. And then, of course, we'll have a table about 3 times a year, and we'll be a sponsor in their annual events, things like that. And what that does is you become part of that environment. And then it makes it a lot easier to approach us. And then, of course, we do our 30-minute free consultation where they'll come up, they'll start asking questions, and then I bring them into the office to just look at if this is going to be a good fit. And then we do a proposal and it moves on from there.
And actually, one of the ticklers for these groups, the real estate investor associations, is normally we do a 30-minute consultation. But for you, that's part of the magic, is you've got the right place to come through. And so we say, well, if you're a member of those organizations, you can get all of your questions answered. And one of the trigger things that people just get excited about is when I say, Janet's a strategist. So she's got to have some information from you before those meetings, because she's going to study it and be prepared for your meeting and give you personalized recommendations and guidance and strategies. And that strategies.
That's right. So it's not just compliance. It's not just getting your taxes done so you don't have to worry about it. It's actually like being a profit participant for them, somebody who's bringing value to the table and positioning your business from the very beginning in that way. It's really, really wise. And having that niche focus, especially even just knowing that there's enough of them in the Salt Lake City area, the greater Utah area. I mean, that's enough business for you to do very well.
Well, we pull business from all over. The website that you guys put together for us, it's amazing. I mean, I have people who come through here that are in Canada that are clients of mine. I have person that's U.S. Citizen that lives in Sweden.
Our farthest away was Switzerland, I think, but I'll have to get a map out to see if Sweden and Switzerland where they just actually work out.
Fascinating.
But what's interesting is I work with their accountant in their country. We take care of, because these people own properties here in different parts of the country, and they need the work that we do that ties to what their accountants need. We make sure that we're not creating more tax by the entity or the system that we're using. And we have people from different parts of the United States that, even though we're Utah real estate accountants, people look up real estate accountants and they find us, but that's the work that you do.
They come through that kind of funnel that we've set up for you on your main website, and the follow-ups and all that. So talk about that, if you will, for a minute. Like, how does TaxPro Marketer kind of fit into the mix for you guys? What have we done? What have we been able to bring to the table that has made your life easier and helped you grow?
Now, you recently said,
yes,
it was
man in the back.
Pick on me. Years ago, you were providing a a monthly newsletter, which I picked and chose from.
Mhm.
And I think it probably just wasn't, it was expensive and not many people except
Oh.
me may have been used it. So I really enjoyed that. I was sorry to see it go, but the absolute critical thing is the weekly blogs.
Mhm.
So your folks, I don't know who's writing them, but they're brilliant.
Yes.
I suspected that your voice was that. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so we have a W2-ish blog each week. Oh, of course, we're talking to the
Creator.
well, we're talking to the choir here. All of the folks are they going to be?
No, I think a lot of different people will see this who are
okay, in
using
that
us
case,
or not.
yes.
So
We get 9 most months blogs from you, and so
and emails as well.
yes, they're email blogs, and they're about probably a 3 to 4 minute read, about 1,000 words each or something. And so one of the blogs is toward more the W2 kind of people, and then one of the blogs is absolutely toward the business people. And then once a month we get a blog for the
Problem resolution,
which is people who are having issues with the IRS. They haven't, maybe haven't filed taxes in years, or they didn't take care of withholding properly for the, whatever. There's lots of reasons why the IRS would start sending you letters, and they get more intense, and until finally they just start scooping things out of your account. So we want to let people know that if they're having that kind of pain, that we're here to face that and resolve it.
So how have those emails and blogs served you?
Very well. People, part of the thing with the know, like, and trust, which is really kind of the 3 catchwords for marketing these days. The consistency is absolutely essential. The consistency of getting them out, plus the consistency of your voice. When you send those to us, there are typically very few things that I edit or change. Usually we have our trademarked little catchphrase.
Sure.
And so I put the trademark catchphrase at the bottom, and that is another one of those consistent things. And then we send them out, and everybody who has ever inquired gets on that list. And I'm amazed at how few people unsubscribe. Most folks are, I believe, are getting value from it and saying, this is worth keeping in my inbox.
Well, and the idea is you're not just talking about geeky tax things and net operating loss carryover rules all the time, but rather things that are where your clients are living. So your investor clients, there's aspects of how they're running their business and cost controls and what have you, and positioning themselves, as well as, SBA loans and kind of the more particular areas of expertise that you bring to the table. But also, for your 1040 clients, it's things, about getting out of debt and sort of the basic life planning type things that a lot of people, I think, really resonate with. What were you going to say?
Just a little aside here, but Janet and I celebrated our 9th anniversary September 9th.
Amen.
And one of the things that I had no idea the value of it was a loss carry forward. And that was part of her dowry, was that loss carry forward. Can you tell I'm excited, man? That pays dividends every year.
Hey, so maybe we should talk about it more. You're right. That's fantastic. So go ahead, Janet.
One of the things, though, that I really appreciate is this whole SEO, all of that marketing online stuff is a mystery to me. And, I didn't come out of that generation. I'm, beyond that, where it's just part of life. I mean, when I was a teenager and got my feet wet in getting into the tax world, my dad had some of those IRS letters, needed some help, asked me to work with them. Well, and I did, but I picked up the phone to call an agent. You could actually call and get the phone answered. And he said to me, well, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you where to look. He was kind of fascinated that I would just pick up the phone and talk to him. And so we went, I actually was able to get a revenue ruling issued because it was a unique situation, which is what kind of led me into my career. But at that point in time, you went to the library to research. You didn't have Google and you didn't have websites to go to. And you had a little bit of time in between the letter that you sent. And,
Right.
So it was a different environment back then. And, the concept of what we have today was not in anybody's mind. And so now having people that understand how that all works so that I can stay focused on the work that I do with my clients is wonderful. It all happens, and a client will make a comment about something they saw, or, because you're always putting stuff out there, and I always make sure that I read them.
That's a good idea, Janet.
Good idea.
And it's excellent material, by the way, but just having that taken care of in such a splendid way with the kind of character and just your unique way of doing things. And I love your positive. It's always, you introduced me to, if you want to have good news, here's a place to go. And, I've got that dialed in on my phone, and it's, you match what is important to us. And again, you guys are so responsible and you work with what we need. So you have that same character of responsiveness, flexibility, being, that's part of our flywheel quality. And so
that's very encouraging. Thank you, Janet.
And another thing, because of your SEO stuff, when people put real estate into any kind of a search, bang, we are on the first page. And that's because you guys are so diligent in making sure that content is updated and what have you. So there's just a lot of action going on around our webpage, our Facebook, and that keeps. So there's a lot of things that are very compelling, and so we appreciate being on the first page.
Oh, that's great. I mean, it's wonderful to serve such as you, because as I told you at the very beginning, and as we were talking before we were recording, the kind of people that you are and the way that you treat people behind the scenes, it's a joy to make your business shine. That's our hope with all of our clients, of course. And but we can never always, you never really know. And every interaction that you have with my team creates new fans for sure here at TaxPro Marketer. You've been doing this for quite some time, Janet, it sounds like. I mean, since you were a teenager.
Yeah, I have done a lot of things in my career. And after we had both lost our spouses, as we talked about earlier, and it was one of those situations where you kind of stop. And my late husband and I were in business brokering. I was doing the due diligence work and things, and working in the sell side as well. But we had started down that road. And when he passed away so suddenly, it was just more than I wanted to be doing myself. So we closed that company, or I did. And when Lynn and I found each other, or we were brought together by mutual friends, neither one of us were ready to retire and just go off into the sunset, or whatever retired people do. But
because we don't know.
And so we thought, well, let's start a firm. I thought, I've been a broker. I know what a business needs to look like to make it sellable, so that in the future, And I also know how to create the accounting firm so that I can ease out and not have it be a very sudden move. But so it was really great when we came across you guys, because I was starting over again. I had sold my firm before I went into the business brokerage. And I mean, it was just teeny. It was just a little book of business. And I did a lot of consulting, and I did a lot of outsourced consulting and things like that. But then I thought, I really want to build a firm as just something, you want to accomplish that has the qualities that are important to me. And it has blossomed, and that finding really good people to work with is just wonderful, and you've been part of that.
I'm really thankful to hear that, Janet. You guys are the same for us. So maybe final question: what would you say to another EA or CPA?
We do have a CPA that I work with.
Yes, he's on our webpage.
Actually.
What would you say to another tax professional who is considering working with TaxPro Marketer or kind of launching a kind of firm like you've built?
What I would say is that someone that wants to really take their firm to the next level, even if they've done their own or had somebody else put together their webpage, TaxPro Marketer knows exactly what accountants need. They're in that market. That's what you guys do. And so having that, your team who advises us, and when we start kind of steering off in the wrong direction or a less than productive direction, you're very good at making recommendations, and that quality of flexibility and the creativeness that you bring, and then having that touch that we're able to do so not only in the web page, which is critical, and the SEO, which is critical, that being able to have that touch for the clients, and not, I don't have time to go do the research and be able to write that every week. I mean, just the volume and that consistent touch is remarkable. That's huge firm stuff. And you can have that look and that feel, and it creates a confidence in the clients that they're getting good stuff, and on an ongoing basis. It's not just drop in, see you once a year, never see you again kind of. And so that's really important. And along with that, then I'm able to create the client meetings and the twice a year meetings with clients and the follow-up, because this is taken care of here. And I think it's critical to really developing the practice.
Thank you.
And I have just a word of encouragement to anybody who, regardless of what kind of a firm you're doing, the real magic for us occurred when we niched. We were trying, and we started out with real estate, but we thought we were going to work with a different aspect of real estate. And so niching finer and finer and finer. And some people come into that with trepidation. So, well, I don't want to miss out on the money. I'll tell you what it happens is your perfect client makes it easier for you as a practitioner to find them, and it makes it easier for them to find you when you've tightly niched. So we are huge fans of that.
And you guys help us do that, and you're continuing to with the new aspect company, and I mean, we're really excited.
Yeah, well, thank you. This is great. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to share with us your story and these ways that you're growing and continuing to grow. So thanks again, Lynn and Janet. You guys are gems. So thank you.
Thank you.
Righty.